So, Bharati, can we get the recording started? Bharati?
Yes. Started.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, masters. Welcome to this Friday English wisdom sharing session. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And let's get started. So, I know we have had Seth Wisdom for last 4 sessions. So it was wonderful subject that masters have given opportunity for us. And it was a wonderful opportunity. Masters has given an opportunity to really align our energies for greater wisdom. So in relation to that is where Seth always talks about enlightenment, talks about truth, and talks about how simple the life is. In that same token, we have got a lot of other masters who also spoke about it. Today we're going to talk about Patanjali, his Yoga Sutras, right? In a brief context. I know it's a very deep and depth subject. We won't be able to cover this in 45 minutes, 50 minutes. But what I also want to do, if possible, is to have each of you talk about any questions you may have in the process. Because all the meditation that we are doing, the kind of meditation that we do, anapanasati and everything, whether it is Buddha's 8-limb techniques or Patanjali's 8-limb yogic techniques, it's all going to be same, right? There is a righteous aspect of it where Buddha talks about it. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, it is a very deep subject. We won't be able to cover the whole thing here, but what I would want to take the opportunity is to talk about the 8 wings of what he talked about, the path of liberation, and then see if you have any questions. I want to spend at least 10-15 minutes talking about any questions you may have in your own journey, whether it is in the deeper state of Samadhi process or in deeper state of thoughtless state, how the absence of meditator comes in play when you are going in a deeper level and all. So with that, let's get started. Now, there is a version of Patanjali who actually gave us the liberation process. He calls it, we typically call it moksha. In Jesus calls it Swargaraj, right? It's a heaven. He calls it like that. And Sastras, which is Vedas and Vedantas, we call them as moksha. And in yoga, especially Patanjali talks about the same thing as Kaivalya. So the liberation in the yogic process is Kaivalya. Kaivalya is nothing but moksha, nothing but enlightenment, liberation, realization, self, being in that state of awareness. All that is same thing, pure consciousness. It's just a different names used by different paths. So in that Buddha's talk about as Amrutatu, right? Amrutanubhu. So now in that context is where Patanjali comes in, where in about 5,000 years back, or whenever he was 2,000 years back, he actually gave this path of liberation. What is the best way to know the truth and be in that state of truth? The 8 limbs of yoga, right? How the mind gets purified, senses are in full control, awareness always, it's like you're not controlling your awareness. It is like naturally your awareness is going inward, and ultimately the practitioner realizes the pure self, which is free from ego, free from ignorance, and free from suffering, right? So when we talk about yoga, this yoga, what Patanjali is talking about, is not just for our physical practice, but a complete path to self-realization and the eternal freedom that we want to get out of. That is what we call Ananda, right? Brahmananda. If I want to get that Brahmananda, then this is one of the path or the technique that, in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali talks about. There are 8 limbs in this yogic process, right? So what are those? So in brief context, I'll just talk about it, and then we go into the deeper state of each of them. It is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So these are the 8 limbs. Now Patanjali talks in that sequence as to how Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and finally ultimate culmination is Samadhi. Even in Samadhi, you got Savikalpa Samadhi and then Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a union of that which you are looking for. I am that I am state. But Patriji has a slightly modified version where he brought the 7th one, which is Dhyana, at the top, and said Dhyana will bring you Yama, Niyama, Asana. Everything will start to come in line when you have the Dhyana. So try to practice the Dhyana and then you will be able to get it. Right? That's the only difference. Patriji kind of added that part in the front, saying that start doing meditation, then everything will start to come in play. Now, in this, what is Yama? Yama is more like living ethically. I want to live a lifestyle that is ethically bound. Niyama means purify yourself, purification. In all ways, in all senses, you are purified in all your systemic activities. Pranayama is balance of the energy, the pranic energy that you have, the exhalation, the inhalation, and the holding of it. You are able to balance the energies within that. Pratyahara is withdrawing your senses or having your senses in your state of hold. Right? It is not like they are going out. You have full control, or you can say that you have, in a natural way, able to bring them inside. Dharana is basically training the mind. In whatever way you look at it, the ultimate factor for dharana is you are training the mind. You're making sure that you are doing a particular style of, or a object, or a mantra, or soham, or your breath, in whatever sense you look at it. You are just trying to bring some kind of control, a practice, a particular practice that brings the control to your mind. Then dhyana. When you have that dharana goes deeper state, then dhyana flows, which is the state of being in that state, right? Awareness being in its own state. You are actually flowing that awareness, you are in that state. And then finally you get into dissolving of your own ego, which is called the final state, which Patanjali talks about as Samadhi. Savikalpa, Nirvikalpa. And then through that, when you go into the Nirvikalpa Samadhi sthiti, then you get into that eternal freedom. That is what he calls Kaivalya or Moksha. In our process, we'll call it Moksha, just for sake of understanding and ease of, don't add any confusion to it. Okay. Now, Yama means, first thing what he talks about is Ahimsa. There are 5 things in Yama, 5 things that we have to bring in line. Now, these 8 limbs of yoga that Patanjali is talking about are something that are to be understood and practiced. By just understanding, you won't be able to get there. Only with the practice, we will get there. First, you have to understand, you have got to have the Shabda Gnana, then Anubhava Gnana. The Shabda Gnana means theoretical knowledge. What we are doing now is a theoretical knowledge, Shabda Gnana. Then you need to bring that into your life. That is Anubhava Gnana. Only through Anubhava Gnana you can experience truth. Shabda Gnana will only give you information. So this process is also like that. So these are practical things that we have to bring into your life. So what is Yama? Yama has got 5 components in that. What Patanjali talks about is Ahimsa, Satyasteya Brahmacharya Parigraha Yamaha. Is how he says it. What is it? Means basically the moral foundation to have peace of mind. That's what it is, right? How do I bring that peace of mind to myself? The first one to bring that is ahimsa. Ahimsa paramo dharma. The first thing, once you start, this is where you will come back to what Patriji is teaching, sir. He says ahimsa paramo dharma, non-violence, right? For us, vegetarianism is part of Pacism society. Is one of the main pillars. Why? Non-violence. You have to be a non-violent individual for you to be able to get into the path of truth. Satya means truth. First is ahimsa, then satya. Being in that state of truth. Believing in the truth, talking truth. Right? Making sure that you're not talking whatever you feel like, you're only talking the truth for most of the times. Asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. Non-stealing, a lot of them think that, okay, physically I'm not stealing anything. It is not just physical. It is physical, mental, emotional, right? Even in your bhava, emotional state, you should not be feeling that. Even in your thought, you should not be feeling or bringing the thought into you that I have to steal something from somebody. Oh, I like it, I should have it, is fine. But I like it, I want it, it's not fine. Asteya. These are disciplines that we have to bring in life, right? Then the important one, which is the brahmacharya. Moderation of your senses, the pleasures that you bring into your life, the physical pleasures, the mental pleasures, the emotional pleasures that you enjoy in the life, you have to bring in balance, moderation. Brahmacharya is the most important out of that. Aparigraha means non-possessiveness. This is self-explanatory, right? These are the 5 components or 5 different states that you have to bring in together for you to conquer yama, for you to be in balance of yama, right? So what are my ethical disciplines is like, I'm able to bring my mind in line, right? How do I work it? Adopting myself, whether it is a vegetarian diet or stopping talking non-violence words or cultivating inner compassion or living in the calmness, all of these things will contribute to that yama aspect of it. That is the first state that we should have, which is the ethical discipline. Then comes niyama. Niyama means that you need to bring back, right? Control. You should not be doing it. Niyama is personal discipline. How do I bring them together? Personal discipline is also very, very well, it is like he talks about a lot of different aspects of personal disciplines, but I think what Patanjali, basically talks about is saucha, santosha, tapa, Iswara pranidhana, right? Or niyamaha. He talks about 5 of them. Saucha, santosha, tapa, swadhyaya, Iswara pranidhana. The next 5 that we need to bring in line. Now, Patanjali's view of looking at it is you have to have yama, you have to have niyama for you to go to dhyana. That's the 8-limb method here that we are tracking, right? So when I try to bring my saucha is purification, the practice of purification. That is what these 5 things talk about, right? Saucha means purity. You have to have the physical purity, you have to have the emotional purity, you have to have the mental purity. How do you bring them together? That is what is saucha. Santosha, we all know about contentment, right? Where you need to have your own things, there should be always a balance. Everything here, whether it is personal discipline or ethical discipline, this is all about bringing that balance. There is no doing more, there is no doing less. You are always in that state of balance. Saucha, Santosha, Tapas. Tapas means discipline. You are very structured discipline. The life is very disciplined. You know exactly how your day is going. You know what practices you are doing. You know your sadhana, how it is going. You know your swadhyaya, your sajjana sangatya. You know your satsangs. You always have your lifestyle aligned towards that discipline. Tapasya. Swadhyaya is self-study. Reading books, listening, joining these sessions like this, listening about the wisdom of the masters, hearing about it, contemplating, little bit you're sitting and then trying to work through it, or trying to read again and again a particular book for you to understand it, or getting some kind of, a knowledge session from someone, or you are helping to do some knowledge sessions. These are swadhyaya, self-study. And Ishvara Pranidhana means surrender to the divine, surrender to thyself. You have to have that. Surrenderness is always the most important. So these are the 10 things that we need to have before you get into the real structure of or practice of meditation. Yama gives you the ethical disciplines. Niyama, Saucha, Santosha, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana gives you an opportunity to discipline yourself personally. Now you are ready for the real state. Now you are getting into that practical exposure of it. Then comes the third state, which is equally important, is where the practice kicks off, is asana. Yama, niyama, asana. Asana is basically you are creating that posture. Whatever the posture that you are choosing, you are trying to get a stability of that, right? So when I brought my yama and niyama together, I have created a stability. I am in a devotional state, and I have started to bring my attention and focus towards a practice. Now, in this case, it is meditation because it's yoga. Patanjali talked about Dhyana. So in this case, it is meditation. You're now prepared. You're bringing everything together, and you are at the point where, okay, I'm ready to take it to the next step. What is asana posture is sthira sukha asanam. That's what Patanjali states. Sthira sukha asanam. Steady and comfortable posture for meditation. This is where most of us miss the point. This is where Patriji also talks about it. In other yogic practices, there are more than, Bhairava Tantra talks about 112 different types of meditation techniques. In the entire world, whoever talks about yoga and talks about a technique, that has to be part of the Bhairava Tantra, right? One way or other, they will link it back to the Bhairava Tantra. Out of that, there are like breath-related techniques that are first 10 or 12 of them, or 7 of them or so, which talk about some of the practices that we are doing. In that, one of the most important thing is asana, sthira sukha asana. Lot of techniques have lot of different requirements for asana. For anapanasati, for the one that you are doing, breath meditation, the requirement what Patanjali gave us is basically steady and comfortable posture. You have to sit steady. You have to be comfortable. Sthira sukha asana. That's what he said, right? Whether you sit in Siddhasana, you sit in Padmasana, you sit in Vajrasana, you sit in, regular, asana, any other asanas that you practice, it doesn't really matter. You should be able to still yourself without any movement at a body level and be in a relaxation state. That is what he talks about, the next state, which is called asana. Asana means sitting posture. If we do not understand this, then meditation will never happen. If you are sitting wherever you want to sit and however you want to sit, then there is no meditation. So the most important thing is understanding how Patanjali brought this together. He never said keep your back straight. He never said your back has to There is a saying in Bhagavad Gita where it talks about, samakka yashiro grivam, right? Your body, your neck, and then your head has to be aligned, in the spinal position and all that. But that is not what Patanjali is talking. Patanjali is talking about sthira sukha asana, right? A steady body allows your mind to turn inward. As simple as that. Why you are turning your mind inward is for preparing yourself to go into that state of meditation. That's the purpose, right? So it has to be joyful. It has to be comfortable. You are able to get inside. You are able to take everything inside. Now, what do I do after I get my asana practiced? Now comes the real thing, right? Pranayama. Fourth one is asana pranayama. Pranayama is breath purification or breath regulation. What does prana? Prana means energy, right? Energy. Yama means control. You are able to control the energy that is flowing, the pranic energy. You are able to control that in a balanced way, in a very methodical way, in a synchronized way. The exhalation, the inhalation, the holding, Rechaka, Puraka, uh, what is the Rechaka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka, Puraka, all of that is in balance, right? You're able to bring that regulation. That is the most important thing. Because without that regulation, even if I am sitting in meditation, my mind is wandering towards, because I'm not able to bring it together. Cleansing our breath and purification of the breath is the most important thing for us to go into this higher state of meditations, right? So this process also gives you some kind of, there are a lot of techniques in pranayama, right? Patanjali talked about a lot of different techniques. We talk about 7 pranayamas that are available, Kapalbhati, Anmol Vimol, Nadi Shodhan, Vastrika. There are a lot of different pranayamas, right? Brahmari. Nadi Shodhan pranayamam is mostly or widely used. I don't say mostly, or widely used for meditation. Before you do that, before you sit in meditation, if you are able to spend 5-10 minutes in doing Nadi Shodhan pranayama, alternate nostrils or straight, left side and then right side. If you are able to practice little bit, then what happens is you are able to get into that state of sunya much faster. Why? Because once your breath regulates, your mind is stick to the breath and then it can easily dissolve. So practicing any type of pranayama is a good thing. Even Kapalbhati can help in some cases. Brahmari will help you to come back to the sympathetic and parasympathetic, right? You are able to adjust that, the balance between them where you need to be. A lot of that will also help you in your yogic practices, whatever you're doing. So pranayama, tasya pranayamaha samyamaha swasa praswasayo katir vichedaha is how he talks about it. Right? Prasa praswasa, swasa praswasa. So the regulation of inhalation, the exhalation, and the retention aspect of it, you are able to bring that balance together. That is what he calls about pranayama, the life force. Right? If we are able to get our act on this life force, then meditation is a natural state. Right? So you don't have to, take too much of time to go into that state of thoughtless or zero thought state that we call sunya, right? You can easily get into sunya. When you do pranayama, after pranayama, you will not even able to find your thoughts, even if you try. Right? If you want, you can try it out. Do pranayama and then see, even if your mind can look for thoughts, you won't get any thoughts. Because when mind gets connected and the prana gets regulated, you are in the deeper state already. So you go to the void state just like that. The more you practice pranayama before meditation, the faster you go into the void state. The faster you go into the void state, the higher your experiences are going to be. Right? The greater the sense of being and the depth, you will be able to go. The serious and sincere meditators usually practice pranayama before going into the deeper state of meditations, because that way the mind is not bothered. You're able to bring that regulation in your breath control. Now, okay, I am able to bring some kind of structure to my pranayama. I did that pranayama. Pranayamaha, samyamaha. Samyamaha is a balance, right? Swasa praswasa yoga, gatir viched. The way it is going in, I'm able to bring that balance. I'm good now. Now, what do I do? Next becomes the most important thing, which is what is the start. All of these are external exercises, whatever you've done. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. These are all the external things that you have done. Now you get into the state of the internalization, which is what comes Pratyahara. Now you are actually sitting in the posture. You did that pranayama. Now your body got relaxed or your mind is in line. Now what to do? The most important thing is Pratyahara. Pratyahara, without Pratyahara, there is no Dharana. Without Dharana, there is no Dhyana. Without Dhyana, there is no Samadhi culmination. So Pratyahara is the most important thing. What is Pratyahara? Withdrawal of your senses. Most important. Swa Vishaya Sangrahyoge Chittasya Swarupanukara Indriyanam Pratyahara. You are able to bring the 10 senses, right? Turning your senses inward, away from any external distractions. Any external distraction, doesn't matter what it is. All your senses. Gnanendriyas, Karmendriyas. Senses are Gnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. So you are bringing in line. What does give an example, right? So the example of Pratyahara, you can take as you sat in meditation, you closed your eyes, there is sound that is coming your way. Okay? Who is the one that's listening to the sound? Your ears are listening. Ear is a sense. Right? This sense is listening the sound in your meditation, and you're getting distracted. Somebody, some of them come to us, right, saying that, oh, too much of sound. Oh, we need to stop the music. Oh, this is that. This is that. That is Pratyahara. They don't have the control of the inward. Yes. You have to become the observer of that sound, right? Without any judgment, you have to become an observer. How does that happen? When you have the Pratyahara, when you have the practice of Pratyahara, what happens is you go inward, the sound is coming, you're just witnessing that sound without any judgments. Right? Then what happens? The senses will lose the grip on it. The sound will still be there, but you will not have any effect of that in with you. That is Pratyahara. Okay? Just an example. Right? Prepare your mind. Right? Prepare your mind for concentration by cutting any kind of distractions. Right? You're like coming into that shallow mode. That is Pratyahara. Any Vishayas, right? Any Vishayas means anything that your senses can take you out. That's why you close your eyes. Most important is close your eyes. Close your eyes, close your ears, close your nose, no smells, close your lips, the tongue aspect of it, you're not eating anything. Right? All Gnanendriyas are closed. Karmendriyas, anyway, hands, limbs, everything else is in line. You're sitting, you're doing nothing. You're going into that state. When you're going into the state, there is no question of not able to do it. Even to the factor, if you are a regular practitioner of asana, and see, asana is where you talk about hatha yoga. People, I mean, actually, I should have covered that. In asana, you talk about hatha yoga. Hatha yoga, whatever the yoga, the Western yoga that you're talking about, the physical poses that you do, right? Matsyasan, Kurmasan, Varahasan, all these asanas that you're doing outside, right? Shavasana, everything is for asana. When your body is flexible, you're able to still your body and sit for longer time. That is all part of hatha yoga. If you want to know more about asanas, you can go to Hatha Yoga Pradipika. it talks about a lot of different asanas that you can get in there. So that process will help you to go deeper in your state of being. Once you actually have the flexibility, the asana, then pranayama, then pratyahara, then comes dharana. So what do I do once I brought my senses inside and everything is in line? Where do I go from here? Dharana means full one-pointed concentration, which is the sixth one. This is probably what each of us do when we go sit in meditation. Everybody says, I'm going to sit in meditation, but you're not actually sitting in meditation. You are actually sitting in dharana. Whoever it may be, however senior, however depth yogi he may be, when he goes and sits to have dhyanam, for him to happen dhyanam, he has to first get into dharana. Dharana will become dhyana. Dharana will become dhyana. So what do I do here? Everything is gone, right? Holding my mind steadily on one object and one object alone. In this case, it's breath. Focusing your attention on space is one way. Focusing your attention on a particular mantra is another way. Focusing your attention on your ajna is another way. There are a lot of different ways. Everything, all meditations come to this point where whichever technique you are using, that technique alone you have to be able to bring. It's a one-pointed focus, attention. Desa bandascha chittasya dharana. You have nothing else going on. All the stuff, whatever you have, everything is gone. You are just one-pointed focus. Concentration, dharana. Why this is important? Without this, there is no dhyana. Every one of us, whoever is sitting in meditation and saying that I'm not able to get to thoughtless state, I'm not able to get to thoughtless state, you are all practicing dharana. What is it? Train the wandering mind to be or to become stable. You're training your wandering mind to become stable on one thing and one thing alone. Aneka becoming eka. Only one thing. That's it. Your breath. Observing your breath. Everything else is gone. All thoughts are gone. Everything is gone. Only you are with your breath. When you are only with your breath, then your breath gets dissolved and the fact of thoughts, everything, the mind gets dissolved. When the breath gets dissolved, mind gets dissolved, at which point you are in that state of sunya. So without dharana, you won't be able to get to it. There are like a lot of masters even today who are been doing for 5 years, 10 years, even in our society, right? But they have not able to come out of that dharana. Dharana is where your mind will start to play tricks with. It will show you a vision. It will give you a beautiful, some kind of divinely experience, some kind of, clairvoyance, some kind of anything that mind can play tricks. That is where dharana, that's where it happens. It will give you some childhood thoughts. It will take you to your, past life regression, right? Astral travels, anything. All that is happening at this dharana, between dharana and you are becoming into dhyana, the deeper state of dhyana. Even in dhyana, you have the same thing, but there is like the process kicks off at that. The visualizations, whatever the visions, not visualization, the visions that you get, the experiences, what you're seeing, the picturics that you are able to bring it on, the imagination that takes your mind into different places, different views of it, different angles, different structures, different beings, different masters, whatever it may be, all that is happening while you are able to practice this dharana. Desa bandhas chittasya dharana. So this is where it has to be very, 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 very focused. You have to, that's why yama niyama are very important. You have to do the dhyanam. Dharana is where you start. When you start it, you bring it together, you sit and close and take it deeper, deeper, deeper. Ultimately, you get to a one-pointedness. When you get to that one-pointedness, then starts dhyana. So this is where you have to train the mind. to become stable. If your mind is stable, you are able to get to that state of dhyana, meditation. Otherwise, meditation is not happening. Whatever we say, right? Meditation is not doing, meditation is happening. That is where it is. If you do the dharana, if you achieve dharana, then meditation happens. The next step is meditation. It has to happen. There is no doing at that point. The doing aspect of meditation is dharana, bringing your mind in line to your breath without any distractions. Right? So with the dharana, what happens is you try to practice it, you try to bring that discipline. That's why you have to sit for hours and hours and hours to practice that. Asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana. You have to practice. Without that, you will not have results. These four things do not come overnight. All these four things requires a lot of practice. Practice makes man perfect. Right? Sadhanat sadhyate sarvam. That is what sadhana is. You have to practice asana, you have to practice pranayama, you have to practice pratyahara, you have to practice dharana. All these four things. That's why sitting in meditation for longer hours helps. If somebody asks you, I am sitting for 5 hours every day, and somebody says, I am doing 20 times every day meditation, what is better? 20 times being in that is more better than staying 1 long hour for 5 hours. Why is that? Because you are training your mind to be with your breath 20 times. 19 times more than the individual who is trying to sit for 1 time and doing it for 5 hours. It is required for you to go deep, but your mind has to allow you to go to deep. Because meditation is happening, not doing. Right? Now comes, after dharana comes meditation. This is the most important. This is why we are here, right? The most important aspect of, if I want to get a culmination, I have to bring myself into this state. Not just meditating, but the state of meditation. What is meditation? Effortless flow of awareness towards the object, what you're focused on. The awareness has to be there. That's it. That's why it is happening. Tatya pratyekatanata dhyanam is what they call. Right? Patanjali talks about in Yoga Sutra. So as you start putting your mind steadily into an object, which is in this case breath, your breath will get lined because it's already purified through your process of pranayama. Then you brought the pratyahara where your mind is not distracted, the senses are all letting it go. And then you come into the dharana where mind is focused on one pointed with your breath. Now your breath and mind are connected together and they dissolve here. Then starts the process of dhyana, abiding in the pure awareness beyond the thought list, beyond thoughts. That is dhyana. So what do I do here is, you are not doing anything, it is happening. It is happening. You are just in that state. Whatever you did, dharana happened. You did. Your action of dharana happened. When dharana culminated, it became dhyana. Dhyana is an automatic state. Now, how long? We have a lot of questions here, right? Even in our society, we try to do a lot of these things. How do I get into this dhyana? When I get into sunya, what happens? Are there stages in the sunya? How do I go into, sunya, parisunya, mahaparisunya? Like that, Patanjali also, talked about different aspects, where he talked about, as you get into dhyana, when you go into that state of stillness where you are in the no thought state, you now are ready to get into the next state, which is called Samadhi. Now, this is where the actual thing is happening. The whole purpose is coming only to get to this 8th limb, which is Samadhi. Because this is where you are getting the knowledge. This is where you are experiencing that kaivalya, whatever that moksha, the process of liberation, whatever you are here for, the eternal truth, whatever you call that, peacefulness, happiness, sorrow less state. no sorrow state. So when I try to bring it together, right? So what happens? This dhyana will lead itself into samadhi, right? Now, this is the samadhi that we are talking about here has two aspects to this. Don't confuse when we talk about, okay, there is this type of samadhi, there is this type of samadhi. Patanjali gave a very clear definition of savikalpa samadhi and nirvikalpa samadhi, right? So what happens is tadeva ardhamatra bandhanam, tadeva ardhamatra bandhanam swarupa sunyamiva samadhi is how he calls it, right? Sunya. Everything become nothing. In that state is where you are getting that samadhi. What is happening is complete merging of the meditator, the meditation, and the object. Everything is gone. Everything has become one. So in this state, as you become more subtle and subtle in the deeper state of your dhyana, the subtle thoughts remain. The awareness of a light, awareness of a bliss. There is a little bit of thing that is happening, even to the factor where samadhi is where you get the samadhanas. You get a lot of answers. What was your previous birth? Why you are here? What is your purpose? Why am I here to do? Why is my body going through what it is going through? What is my karmic balance? A lot of those questions, as you keep asking it, you're going to keep getting, answers and all that, right? Savikalpa sthiti is a normal, it's most of our masters have experienced Savikalpa Samadhi, right? Because they get a lot of answers in their meditations. As you go very subtle and then go into that state, then comes the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, right? That is where there is no thought, pure awareness alone as stillness. This requires a lot of practice, right? Shifting to that state. That is the ultimate state of reality, where the sense of I am meditating disappears. Very, very important. That is the reason why we are doing meditation. Why I am sitting in this dharana and dhyana and the initial state of samadhi is to get to that sense of I am, to let go of that sense of I am. Only that silent awareness has to remain. And that only comes with practice. You cannot achieve any of these things with Shabda Gnana. It has to be only with Anubhava Gnana. That's why Patanjali said, it is only through the practice you get the yogic experience. Only through sadhana you get the yogic experience. Not by talking about it, not by listening about it. So, in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi is where you go into that zero thought state. You are in the pure awareness. You are in the still, the bliss, whatever is happening, everything that I am is gone. I factor is no longer there. As long as you are in that state, you are self. You are no different than anyone else out there. Whatever is running in all of our souls, right? Whatever we call, right? Soul, self, Atman, Brahman, whatever the name, consciousness, you are that at that very moment. And that's why this 8 limbs of yoga will help you to get to that. If you talk in the Vedantic or yogic, in the Yoga Sutras, right, it talks about the direct realization of Purusha. Purusha is pure self, distinct from Prakriti. Prakriti is nature or matter. You are now distinct from you have distanced yourself from the Prakriti and you became the Purusha, right? And you are in that state of stillness and awareness. That awareness is not just here, the awareness is in entirety. That is Nirvikalpa Samadhi Sthiti. That is the ultimate reality. We are all here, and that is where, when you get that, is what is called Kaivalya. In the yogic, Patanjali talks about as Kaivalya. In the Vedantic, we talk about moksha. Right? What happens when the Purusha, what happens is when the Purusha rests, he actually rests in his own self, completely free from Prakriti. What is Prakriti? Mind, body, nature. You're no longer there, abiding in that pure awareness and witnessing consciousness. So in that state, what happens? You are untouched by birth, you are untouched by death, you are untouched by karma, you are in the eternal freedom. So after Nirvikalpa Samadhi, what happens? As long as you are in that state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you are in that eternal freedom. But once you come out, again the mind comes out, the body comes out, the BMI starts to act. But you will still be able to manage all that because you have experienced it. And then you go into, after practicing it for some time and being in that state of Nirvikalpa Sthiti for a longer time, you go into the Kevala Sthiti, Kevala Samadhi. Kevala Samadhi is you don't no longer actually go into deeper state of meditation. You are actually in that state, like Patriji. You're always in that state. You're always with no thought state, even when you're outside. Kevala Samadhi. Right? So, I mean, that again, it's all practice. The more and more you practice it, the more and more you get the hang of it. So that is what it is, right? That's the reason it is very important that we understand the concept of Patanjali Yoga Sutras and then try to practice them. That's the most important. The more and more you start to practice it, the greater the opportunity for us to get experiences, higher the experiences. YAMA is very important. NIYAMA is very important. Every aspect of it is very important as you take one thing at a time and start to look at it. How do I bring structure to my life? Right? Whatever we are talking about, doing your satsangas, whatever you're talking about, swadhyaya, sajjana sangatya, all of those things are for YAMA and NIYAMA. If you minus yourself from satsangas, if you minus yourself from swadhyaya, you're not going to get into deeper states. Because for you to go to deeper states, your mind has to be pure. Both ethical and personal disciplines are must for you to go deep. And you have to have the longing for truth. Mumuksha. You have to have very longing. I need it. That's the only thing that matters to me. If you are able to bring that kind of discipline to yourself, then you are able to go into the deeper states. That's when your masters are going to come. There's a lot of things will happen through you. Masters will choose you to make world a better place. Then you no longer have this I within you. So everything is happening through you. And you experience that. It is not now you say that everything is happening through you because you have that Shabda Gnana. But after that experience, you will say everything is happening through with Anubhava Gnana. Because now you have realized. So that's the difference. I'll stop here and then take questions if you have any. This is a very deep subject, Masters. I'm just putting it out there for you to get a grasp of it. But every topic can be taken for hour and hour. That's how depth this is. In Yoga Sutras, if I go into Yoga Sutras, there is a lot to talk about.
Can we practice the breath pranayama when we meet tomorrow in person?
What is that?
Can we practice the pranayama, the breath, the breathing together when we meet in person tomorrow?
The breathing technique, the breath meditation, you mean?
Just the pranayama. The
Pranayama.
Yeah.
You mean pranayama?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. I can show you some techniques for that. Yes, certainly.
And we can make that as part of our regular practice also then.
You can. If you want to go into void, that's the one of the beautiful ways to do it. Yes, it is. It works every time. Miracles happen through that pranayama. So that's practice is good. Any other questions?
How did you pick this topic? Like, did you do research or how did you get the material?
This is out there for a long time. I've studied Yoga Sutras as part of my Vedantic, studies for a long time back. So I just wanted to, it just comes to me that today I need to talk about it. That's it.
Okay, no, that's very good.
Yeah, it is. It just comes. I don't prepare anything. It just comes to me and then I talk. That's it.
Okay.
But this is where it all comes down to, right? Because yogaha chittavritti nirodha, yogaha karmatu kausalyam, yogaha, any part of yoga that you are bringing on, yoga is a culmination, right?
Right.
Really becoming one is yoga. How do I bring that together? Is you have to bring the discipline. What we are doing is we are trying to bring the dhyana. What Patriji said is, hey, bring dhyana into your life, then disciplines will start to follow. But what happens? We lose track of it over time. We are distracted. Even though I have the energies, my energies are distracted. I'm accumulating every day. I'm sitting in meditation. I'm accumulating tons of energy, but that energy is getting distracted because I did not bring my ethical and personal disciplines in my line yet, balanced yet, right? So whatever the energy is coming, energy is going. But where it comes to the fruitification or it comes to culmination is when you have the energies, you are able to grasp the subject better. The Shabda Gnana, whatever you're talking about, the theoretical knowledge, what you need to get to the practical state, you are able to grasp that very well when you have the energies. And that's why listening to some of these things are very, very important. As much as you practice, listen to the truth, listen to these things, how you can go there. You should be able to know at any given point what are the things that are happening in your own meditation that are either helping you or blocking you. If you are not able to recognize that, then you are not in the rightful state, right? Because either your Shabda Gnana is not properly aligned or your practice is not aligned. Both are not going to give you the results what you're looking at. That's why Patanjali Yoga Sutras is most, especially for our society, right? PSSM, because we follow most of it through jhana process, right? What Patanjali talks about is, hey, you bring everything to the Sukhamaya Pranayama. He talks about Sukhamaya Pranayama, nothing but swasa ke saath raho. Right? Be with your breath is what he says. The name that he chose is Dhyana, means Sukhamaya Pranayama. Sukhamaya Pranayama means the subtle breath that is happening on its own, the natural breath, you're just observing that. That is Sukhamaya Pranayama. Any other questions? If you ask more questions, more subject will come. That's why I keep saying that, ask questions. If you have any specific questions in the 8 limbs.
No, if you can review tomorrow and we can do some breathing, some yoga, that would be good.
Yeah, it will.
I have a one question about the visions and then the imagination. So what is actually a vision and what is imagination?
Imagination is something, it is both, right? Imagination is where your mind is bringing it together, right? You are initiating it, right? Like you're thinking is imagination.
Okay.
Something coming to you as a vision is a thought or something that you have gone through in your past, and that as the mind is recalling it. That is a vision.
So, but you're not, so the vision is like we are not thinking about it, but like suddenly when you close and you are in the meditation and it shows up.
Exactly. Your mind is recalling. Yeah. It's going and recalling it, right?
Okay.
Both are in the mind itself, right? It's not like imagination is a beautiful thing because through imagination you use the power of mind. Okay. I'm not saying that imagination is not something that you pursue and all. Imagination is a different. The purpose of the 8 limbs, what Patanjali gave, is for liberation, kaivalya. That can only happen if you go beyond the state of mind. Now, what you're referring to is the states of mind, different phases of mind, where you are imagining. I am imagining something. Then what I'm using the power of mind.
Yeah.
Right.
But vision is not like vision is still we are using the mind.
Yes, you are using the mind, but your mind is recalling something for you.
Okay, because when Mount Shasta, right? As I recently went, I got a lot of visions. I never got when I'm here, but after, so when I was doing meditation there, I was like seeing a lot of visions. I was like not understanding if I am actually sitting with, with no mind, or I'm thinking, because I'm not thinking, I got something which I was not even thinking about it.
Thinking, see, visions are some things that you probably have not seen them before. It can be an energy connection that can bring you something. It can be an emotional where your mind is acting upon. It can be from your past lives where you have seen something and that is coming. Your mind is very powerful, right? It is going to play the trick for you to get distracted from your own self, right? For it to get distracted, it is going to give you a vision. What happens when you get a vision? You go into that vision. Now you're no longer in meditation. You're in the vision. You're thinking that you're in meditation, but you're not, because you have used the mind and you went into the mind. When you are in the mind, there is no meditation, right?
Even when these images, what you're seeing, are completely unexpected, not part of your practice, not part of your regular thinking. Even if there's a vision and the message is, sometimes you get a message, which is, you have no idea where that message is coming from, because it's not coming from your heart.
See, the intuition, right?
The heightened intuition.
Yeah, the intuition also gives you information. Again, that is a section of mind, the higher section of mind. Right? What happens at intuition is you're getting a message saying that, hey, your next step is ABC, you got to go do this, maybe you go here, or you ask a question, you're getting an answer. Right? That is all. See, here what Patanjali is talking about, or what the culmination that we are talking about, the sense of I am in meditation is disappearing. As long as there is I am, you have something, whether it is intuition, whether it is vision, whether it is a message, whether it is some kind of, travel, astral, everything has happening as long as that I am is present, right? What he is talking about is the I am is disappearing. The meditator, the meditating process, and the object that you are chosen, all three have become one. That's it. So there is only stillness in that pure consciousness. That's it. Witness state. Nothing else exists. That is the ultimate state of meditation. Now, to get to that, your mind has to get balanced, right? Or kind of, it has to become purified. In that process, mind will give you a lot of these, mind is going to use its power to give you a lot of these distractions. All these are happening between Dhyana and Dharana, right? So it is going to give you a lot of these things. And most of times what happens is you get attracted to them. Somebody is seeing Buddha in meditation. What happens? He leaves that breath, and then he is with that vision, and he goes into the deeper state of the vision. It is okay to enjoy. I'm not saying that it is not okay or you should ignore and all that. But the ultimate truth is not that. That's the point. That's what Patanjali is also saying. Right? Ultimate truth, the kaivalya, the liberation aspect does not come when you go into that vision. That vision is an experience. You experienced it, but then you have to realize at some point that I need to bring it back. This is only a mind activity. Intuition is coming, mind activity. As long as there is second thing happening within you, whether it is the breath, whether it is your mind, whether it is a vision, whether it is some kind of intuition, message, whatever it is, that is not what you are. That is not the ultimate state.
I usually never get visions. I mean, in Virginia, like when I sit, right, I usually get sensation in my third eye or those kind of energies. I usually feel it. But in Mount Shasta, I was like always, I mean, when I close my eyes, even when, as you're saying, right, I was always on my breath, focusing on that. And then, just observing, not even focusing, observing my breath. But it keeps on getting some colors or like some vision. Is it because of the energies there that just keep?
These energies. It is always an. See, the first experience is visions, right?
Yeah.
When your mind starts to realize that, yes, the I is taking me into the state of meditation, it starts to play. The first thing that it will play is visions, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go deeper, it is going to give you visions. Now you got aligned to the breath, and your mind kind of aligned to the breath faster because of the energies that are present in the environment or the atmosphere, wherever you are sitting, right?
Mm.
If you have higher energies and you're sitting in that place, you go into the meditative state faster. That's the only thing, right? Like doing it here versus doing it in Kartal or Pyramid Valley or any pyramid. Why do I bring those things? Is because I get that experience 3 times faster. Same happens in Mount Shasta, wherever you go. I mean, that's the way to look at it, right? And then now visions are, so these visions that you are coming in, are you attached to those visions, or are you just observing those visions and coming back to your normal state? That's the question.
I was just observing. I was not going anything. I was just like observing what it is showing me. Nothing more than that.
That's it. And then you come back to your breath again. You go, it is okay to go, and like, if you, some of us, like, when you're experiencing the first time, it may be exciting, it may be fascinating, right? Oh, I want to go and look at it to see. It is okay. It's an experience. It's a phase of your state of meditation. You go into that, but you come back and you have to realize that that is not the ultimate. Don't get carried away and stay in those visions for years and years.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Anil.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right. No questions, then we'll call it a night, masters. Thank you very much. And then tomorrow, Navya, you're coming?
Sorry, I think I won't be able to come to.
You won't be joining us? Okay. Okay, so whoever is planning to join us, right, be there by 8:30. We're going to do a new, different type of, it is called ecotherapy. We're going to do a lot of healing tomorrow. So please join us there around 8:30, be there. Sharp, 8:20, 8:15, if you're able to be there, that would be wonderful, because we can all settle and then do a little bit of grounding with the Mother Earth and then start the meditation. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you all tomorrow.